Last time on Let's Play Train Simulator. So I'm going to go ahead and throttle through this right now. Apparently I tripped the PCS. I'm going to come to a complete stop at this point. That appears to be a problem with something I did driving the train, and it looks like maybe the Independence loco did not like being attached to us. So we're going to try to show what happens when you try to pick up your train. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a bug that can happen in this game. So, future cycle here. I'm going to show you what I said at the end of the last video, Sherman Hill, that on arrival of Thunderheads Part 1. I'm going to show you that that was not the first time this has happened to me. This seems to be an American exclusive thing. I don't know why. But I'm going to show you exactly what happened on another scenario at Cajon Pass. You'll probably be able to figure out which scenario it is, but I'm not going to include this footage in that scenario. Let's turn the volume up on this because I had it muted for a moment. I want you to hear the sound and what actually happens here. What was that? Hold on. So as you can see, the train literally just came to a stop back there. If I were to back up for a few seconds here, you can see the train back there literally just, the whole thing ripped off in that scenario. So it allowed me to keep going down the track, keep looking around, and try to figure out what's going on. So let's skip ahead now to where I go to back up to the train. I'm going to try to collect the train, and you're going to get to hear my live reaction to that. So as you can see, I've now advanced the video by about a couple minutes here, and I'm now backing up to the engine and the rest of the train that ripped off. You can see the front of the engine that has ripped off. You can see that I'm trying to line up a nice shot for the what was going to be video footage here, with houses in the background, with the heavy equipment. Very nicely placed. I enjoyed this. Here comes my live reaction to what you're about to see. Well, that was fun. I think that was a collision. No kidding, really? You may have noticed that the train took off too. Just a weird thing with collisions in this game. So I kind of wish that EG would be able to fix this bug, but I guess they just don't know how. Which would explain why it hasn't been fixed. But anyway, I've now got 2 cases showing video of it, and I don't know if there's something they can pick up from it to fix this bug, but it would be really nice if they would actually try to fix this bug. I guess they're worried about breaking other things by fixing it, though. That might be why they're not fixing it, just saying deal with it. So, kind of a sloppy thing to do when you have thousands of dollars of DLC on your shop for the game that is bugged. But I guess we'll see if they actually ever do anything about it. Anyway, back to the video, Part 2, Arrival of the Thunderheads. And now, Part 2 of the scenario. Good morning, good afternoon, or good stormy evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are looking at the final section, the second half rather, of this scenario. And we are doing Arrival of the Thunderheads, and boy, oh boy, have the Thunderheads arrived. Now, I just showed you a little prequel as to what's going on in this scenario. You're going to remember that last time, if you saw that the train decided to bug out on us. So we're back at the point where where we cross over to the second track. We've been alerted the light engines need to pass. We're going to see the light engine again on this part of the run. I figure at this point it'll make about a 45-minute or so video, so we're going to go ahead and just pick up right there where we left off. You may notice the time might be a little out of sync compared to my last run as well. One thing that did not change, I got a speeding penalty. There you go. I also plopped down the save at about 2:35 just in case something goes wrong somewhere along the way. That way we can get back in here with all the valid weather and everything like that. So we're good to go. I'll be fine. As long as the train doesn't bug out on me again. It's the second time it's ever happened, so what can you do? So I'm going a little slower than I intended to here. I'm actually going down to about 23, which is not where I wanted to be. The line that we're on right now does not get any faster than 30 miles per hour. We're going to get back to a 55 when we get over to line number 1, which we are going to transition to when we get to the end of the siding, and this siding literally doesn't go anymore. That's the point at which we'll see the light engines. I don't know why we didn't wait for the light engines, but we didn't wait for the light engines. I guess we're a priority because of the storm, something like that. I don't know. The fewer trains stranded out here, the better. So right now I am holding constant at this 30 miles per hour speed, which is pretty good considering. We've crossed over onto line number 1 at this point, track 1. We're going to be entering a 1.5% gradient, and while I could put the brakes on again, I think it's more realistic on this kind of a gradient to use hand brakes. So I might actually put a couple hand brakes on. It seems the momentum is affecting my train considering what was happening the last run. There's the light engines. It seems the momentum on the hill down is actually affecting me more on this than it did on the introduction run, which is kind of strange. It could be because of the rain, maybe it's a little more slippery, so there's more momentum. That could be related to it. So we're going to put a few handbrakes on as we get to the 1.5. Just a few of them just to see how it handles. And then we'll adjust accordingly. We have lots of room to get up to 55 when we get into the end of this 30 limit. So it'll give us a lot of time to figure out what we're working with. So I'm not going to speed up right now because I am a little concerned about the 1.5 limit coming, or gradient coming up, how that will affect me. I'm on to a 1.0 right now. So my speed should start going up just slightly here as the rest of the train gets onto the 1.0. That's fine. I'm going to have lots of room to deal with that right now. There's the 1.2%, so it's getting steeper. And we've now moved up slowly, inching up to 31 miles per hour. Now on a 1.3% gradient. And we are now on the maximum ruling grade of 1.5%. I'm going to remove the throttle down to level 1 at this point. I actually am losing speed, which is actually okay, because we're going to start gaining speed in a moment. What I find absolutely silly about this scenario is that they had us expected on the point scoring to go at a very fast speed through this storm, which is not probably realistic. The benefits of a simulator, I guess. So, we're just going to go ahead and enjoy this trip through the storm at whatever slow speed we need to. But we will get through this storm. So as you see, I am gaining speed now. I am up to 31.6 again. So I was dropping to about 31.1. And then I turned around and went back in the other direction. It's a very, very imperceptible increase. I'm going to let it increase just a little bit, but then I am going to go ahead and cut the throttle off completely by the time you get to about 35 to 40 in that range. I'm just seeing how high the increase is and trying to determine if I'm going to need any more braking power. Ideally, I want to stay on this 23% brake. You saw what happened when I dared to increase it last time. And I might have had the throttle going around the same time trying to adjust that, so that might have caused some problems with the train. Good news is the speed increase is very imperceptible. Zeroing the throttle should help. If at that point I'm still gaining speed, I will activate a couple of the handbrakes. So I'm up to 33. I also know there will be a change to a 45-mile-per-hour limit up ahead. That's one reason I'm not going up to 45 right now. I want to give myself a little bit of a buffer room in case I need to do some adjustments on this hill, because we're going to have the 1.5 throughout this 45 limit and into the other 55 beyond it. And as we come off the ascent, we're going to get into Cheyenne. We're going to get down to a 40 and then a 35 and then immediately down to a 20 from the 35 almost instantly, and 15 to get into the yard. I'm hanging at 33.8 right now, which is okay. And I'm decreasing. I'm on a 1.0% gradient right now. I'm actually going to go ahead and put the throttle up to level 2 right now, just so I can maintain some speed. As soon as I'm on a 1.5% again, I'm going to go ahead and drop that speed right back off, because I think we're going to have to take a 30 to the other track in a moment. And who knows what I'm going to have to do with that. So I'm going to drop the throttle back down to 12%. It's still raining a little bit. Now, I haven't actually seen a signal for going back to the other track yet, so I'm not going to assume that the signal is coming yet. We don't even have a signal on our radar right now. Now, as you can see, if I zoom ahead, you can't really see anything up there. Okay, let's go ahead and put some speed on, because I'm going to... Oh, I'm back to the 1.5, so I'm not going to do this for very long. So seeing how the train responds to a drop in speed right now, it's still increasing, which is fine. It's on 1.5. I expect that. Oh, and back down. Very, very finicky right now. It seems to be holding at 35, 34 and a half. Now you can see the signal for the other track is showing a yellow signal. So that is normally our track, a yellow signal. What this tells me is that if someone were coming along on the other track, which there shouldn't be right now because the light engines were there, But if someone were coming along on the other track, that means that the next signal on that track is red. That tells me we're probably going to be moving over after that signal. So we're probably slotted to head back over. I'm going to expect to see a double yellow on this track shortly. Rain seems to have stopped for the time being, so that's a pleasant change of affairs. Little quick peek outside here. You can see down there we still have our Independence logo down there at the other side of the train. That is still down there. By my estimation, we've gotten past the point where the scenario snagged on me before, so we seem to be okay for the time being. This is fantastic. Now I am going to keep going at this slower speed because I just don't trust my, I just don't trust everything right now. We're still going by Granite right now. There's the 45. I knew it was coming. I knew I did not want to speed up. So now that I know the 45 is there, that's going to give me the target that we want to go for. Once we are past Granite, we'll eventually get a 55 and then once again. Just to give an idea of the amount of time, we were about a mile away from Granite, a mile away from the other part of Granite, so 2 miles. And then the next milepost, which is where the storm really starts, by the way, a little spoiler, 9 miles away, and after that, by about 6 miles is Wycon. So that's going to give us a bit of an idea. Borie is right there as well. So that gives us an idea what kind of a distance we have to work with for the rest of this scenario. Once we get to Borie, I'm going to be at the point that I'm, well, A, we're going to be dealing with a major storm, and B, we're going to be getting ready for the descent into Cheyenne at that point. That was quite a bop. And there is the previously expected track, or signal rather, saying that we have a double yellow. We're going to be moving over to the other track at the next signal. I do not believe this will be a stop signal. I am actually losing speed right now, so this is actually working out extremely well. As long as I maintain this, I'm going to be able to get down to 30 so I can transition tracks. There's some kind of a message coming up here. Or not a message, probably a trigger for some weather or something like that. So I slowed down a little early. I haven't even seen the sign saying that we're going 30 yet, but I don't want to be speeding into the track changeover. Obviously we're on the siding right now. Track number 1 has moved over to the left. We're now on a siding. So we're going to be, actually let's look at the mini-map and get more information on that. Oh, that's just the access to Granite. Never mind, that's the Granite access. So we're going to be moving over when we get past Granite. That track has a yellow. I don't want to go too far below 30, so I'm going to go ahead and try to maintain 30 here. I do see the signal coming up there, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the throttle off for a moment, make sure we're still decreasing. We are. So that's going to be good news for me. I'm going to be able to get ready to change over to the other track. We have our red-green. The green below means we are changing to another track. Since there's only one additional light here, that means that there's only one option for a track change. We're going to be taking that. And you can see the track going over to the right here. You can see the train up ahead that's waiting for us. That's the ES44AC Cement. Our gradient has shallowed out for a moment, so we did have a bit of a loss in speed there. We are quickly going to go back to a 1.5 gradient, so I'm not going to adjust the speed right now. I'm going to leave it exactly where it is, because we are going to gain again. So there we are on a 1.25 again. So went to 1.0, 2, and 5 quickly. So here comes our increase again. Right after we have the rest of our train start crossing that point. Once we have cleared the 30 point, I will go ahead and I will increase the throttle to add a little bit of speed, get us up to about 40, maybe 45. I think there's another 45 along this journey. I could be mistaken. But if I'm wrong, then we're just gonna, I'll be able to move up to 55 if I want to during the storm. We had a green sign there. I'm not sure what the green means, but it is a change in the speed limit. Because you can see the speed limit numbers on it. Just giving him an indication we've got the end of his train. Not that he needs it, it's just a waste of a horn. We are now in the 55, so here I am. I'm going to go ahead and increase the throttle now by a little bit, actually. To get to 40, I'm going to see what happens when we're at 40. I'm going to start cutting it back now. And now back to level 1 throttle for a moment just to see what the train does. If the extra momentum means I have extra downhill speed, that's my only concern. I seem to be holding at 40 for the time being. Which is fine since I have throttle applied. I can remove the throttle if I need to. But since I still have throttle applied with a 23% brake, this is actually a good scenario. So something must have gone really wonky with the train on that last run. Sometimes it does happen where the operation of the train just gets wonky. I was actually playing that Falmouth dock scenario. And the shunting scenario, the 60-minute shunting scenario, and on one of my runs, I actually found, let's see who this is. There we go. So on one of my runs, I actually found out that my train all of a sudden decided it didn't want to go any faster than 4.8 miles per hour, and I couldn't figure out why. The only thing I can imagine might have happened is I try to do the normally proper thing of setting the handbrakes when you leave some cars on the track so they don't roll away anywhere. And apparently the handbrakes must have been applied to my train. They somehow must have been applied to my train. That's the only thing I can imagine of. Because I applied the handbrakes, I detached the cars, they shouldn't have affected my train anymore. There were no handbrakes on my train at all. But marking those handbrakes while they were still on the train apparently affected the speed of my train permanently, and wherever I went for the rest of that run, I was going at 4.8 miles per hour, and Since that would have effectively doubled the amount of time it takes to run the rest of the scenario, I basically said, no, let's just start over and do another run. That's the run that you saw recorded, the last run that I did after that. And that was the one where I screwed up the, well, apparently I screwed up, but I thought I was within the confines of the marker on that one dock, and it told me, oh, no, you're not, come back and move them. Even though they were well within the track, and there was no way anything was going to affect those, but, oh well. So I was right, there is a 45 limit that we're still contending with. That's why I kind of hung around the 40 area there. I didn't want to speed up past that in case I need a little bit of leeway here, but looks like I'm okay for the time being. In fact, why not? Let's put a little miles back on to make sure we stay in the 40 area. Okay, we'll cut it back again now. I'm at 42. Pardon me. Clear and green. So as I speak, I am currently sitting back in my chair just watching this for the next thing to happen. I don't have my hand on the keyboard at all right now. I'm just letting the train drop down to 41. I'm kind of watching for the 55 to come from the right to give us our last speed limit increase before we get to Cheyenne. I am going to go ahead and take advantage of that speed limit increase. And I'm going to get to about, I want to say about 50 is probably about where I'm going to stop, because I know there's a 40 coming up after that. And I don't want to try to take this freight train down that far in speed in rainy conditions. So 50 is good enough, and I'm going to try to just do a regular slowdown from there. As soon as I get an indication that we're going to need to drop it. It's also not far after Wycon, so I can plan for after Wycon to start dropping my speed. Speed back on. Again, not too much. I have to be very wary about this. Actually, I want to go a little more, so I'll go a little more. In fact, I seem to be doing a good job on the hills with my 23% brake right now, so let's go ahead and just move it up to 43, 43 and a half, 44 and see what happens. There is a signal coming up. Here's the 5369 westbound. Did you notice that other car there? Let's pause for a second, shall we? That was the other train I was keeping an eye out for. If you saw it going by, I don't need to show you this right now. Not all these guys. That guy, the Union Pacific version of the 3300. It's the same train, so you'll notice it's the same number. I just put it in for kicks, but it's so they provide it in two forms. One was the United Way model with the United Way icon on it, so I'm kind of now instantly promoting United Way, and the other one was without. So you get both of them in this package, and I just wanted to show you that I put both of them in this scenario. It's not realistic to have train 3300 twice in one scenario, but you know what? We're just going to go ahead and do that, because why not? So I am now dropping the throttle. I did actually get a lot closer to 45 than I wanted to, but I figured the hill was going to react, so I didn't really see a need to panic there. I'm just letting the speed drop on its own right now, and it seems to be doing a good job. So you may have noticed that we did pass the 55 signboard there. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of an increase to accommodate the 55 signboard. I'm not going to go all the way to 55 like I said, because I sense we're going to have a big storm soon. And naturally, if you were going to go ahead and do a save on this scenario, the last place you should do so is before the next weather point. That next weather point is in 4/10 of a mile. So if you want to have the stormy weather for the rest of the scenario, you pretty much have to get your save in before that point, because the clouds will really come on at that point. So you will have to get your save in before this milepost. I'll go ahead and do a slight increase. Let's zoom in on the milepost as we pass it. That's milepost 521 right there. And watch those clouds come up. Part of the reason I zoomed in was to show you this. Dispatch to 7836. There is a big storm between your current location and Cheyenne. Drive carefully. Roger. I'll go ahead and I'll zoom back into the cab at this point. Actually, I might be mistaken. The weather didn't really show up at that point. There is another orange marker ahead. That might be where the weather shows up. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the throttle back to a level 1 throttle. I'm going to see if the speed comes off on its own. I'm going to hope that the weather doesn't do anything to increase my speed. That would be a little annoying. Actually, it would be a lot annoying, but we won't talk about that. We've now crossed the point of no return. The heavy weather is now setting in. Look at those clouds. Look at that rain. Oh boy. There's a train waiting there, by the way. I don't know who that was because I didn't bring the tag up, and I don't really feel like checking right now. Because conditions don't warrant it. But that's the Borie cutoff, and I actually think I know. Whoa, this looks serious. Yeah, you don't say. I think that's actually train 5313 again, because I actually remember looking at the map earlier when I was doing the rerun to get to the halfway point. Ooh. And I actually looked and I saw 5313. I'm like, wasn't he there before? He was here before. So I had seen it before, just not in the scenario in question. I can risk increasing a little bit of speed, but because of the weather, I am going to be very, very cautious. I don't want to end up creating out of control here. Dispatch to 7836. Can you make it to Cheyenne? If you need to stop the train for safety, do so. I wonder what happens if you stop the train for safety. Does the scenario end? I'm going to go with a no on that, but it would be kind of funny if that's what happens. Try to weather the storm. You are made of stern stuff. Hopefully, it should pass soon. Don't talk to me. You're wasting my time. You're distracting me. Okay, so... actually, I'm losing speed very quickly there. I didn't expect I was going to lose speed that quickly. So I'm going to be... I guess I'm going to just keep feathering the speed where I am right now because I seem to be maintaining speed very well. I just have to be careful when I pass Wycon to start slowing down because at that point I'm going to be coming up on a 40 near Cheyenne. And let's just drop the throttle back to level 1 at this point. I know I can zero the throttle, that will slow me down even more when the time comes. Yeah, it's almost like my wheels have tar on them this time. We're going to increase speed again. Because we fell down to 45 very, very nicely there. Speed was coming off very well. I'm going to put the bell on because this storm is making things very dangerous. We're about to pass the Wycon chemical plant. So there's a lot of different little railways and bridges here, just in case someone realistically were on these in this area. It might be hard for them to hear us. It might be hard for us to see them. I didn't get the information on that train in time, but you can go back and pause if you want to see it. Now, in the real scenario, we would in the timetable one, we would have to be there in about 10 minutes from now. So at this point, I think I am actually running late, which means it's probably a good thing I didn't feel the need to rush today. I would have been playing with handbrakes all the way down to maintain the points, and, you know, that's not realistic, so we're just going to play it realistically. Turn the bell off now. We're out of the range of Wycon. There's a whistle. While we were doing that whistle crossing, that grade crossing, we went down to a 1.0% gradient. And interestingly, I'm at a 37% throttle, and I'm not gaining speed. I'm actually wondering why that is. I should be gaining more speed on this gradient, I would imagine. So I'm very curious as to what's going on there. So this gradient does not seem very realistic right now. Or maybe it is and I'm just overthinking it because I do have the brakes on right now, so maybe that is affecting the 37% because I don't have the downhill momentum anymore, so I'm not gaining speed at 37 anymore. I'm actually maintaining speed at 37, so that actually makes sense now that I think about it. Took a little bit of thought. So you can see the 40 up ahead. We may get a sign warning us about the 40 coming up. I'm just going to go ahead and allow my speed to decrease on its own, but I am going to have to decrease quite a bit by the time I get to the yard. So I'm going to actually go ahead and start decreasing in spades right now. There's the warning sign, so yeah, I have to start decreasing. So we're down to 40 in time. I'm going to let the speed keep going down because we are going to keep dropping at this point. You can see that we do have a, looks like a adverse signal ahead, a lunar white, or yellow. Lunar white, yeah. Lunar is the white. A yellow lunar is what I should be calling that. So we are going to be getting down to yard speed, and we don't have very long to do that. The yellow lunar means get ready for a red lunar. Red lunar means 20 miles per hour maximum past that signal. Pursuant to yard speed, which often can be slower. 15 is what you see at Wycon, 15 is what you see at Cheyenne. And in some parts of Cheyenne, there's 10, and even by a shed, 5. If you're leaving at 5. Look at that, the storm's clearing. I need a little more speed right now, so I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit. And now go ahead and take it off again. You can see the sign coming near the frame saying 35. That does not apply to us because we're going to be passing a red lunar. The red lunar literally means that we're going into a 20. So we have to treat it as a 20. And yeah, our storm is passed. We're also off the hill, so we probably could take off the brakes if we want to. I think I'm okay where I am. So for right now, I'm going to leave the brakes on. So we're under the rule over 20 right now. You can see a lot of signs ahead. 35, which means nothing for us. Then another 20, and then the 15. We're going to keep maintaining 20 until we get to the 15. We're heading to 5th New Way West right now. Or South New Way West. I keep saying 5th. It's South New Way West. I wish they would spell it out. Now I'm going to go ahead and drop the throttle off for a moment so I can get down to 15. And as I get into the range, I'm going to go ahead and put the throttle back on. We do have the brake to counteract us. We could theoretically have hand brakes on instead. That would help us control our speed, but it's not realistic to try and apply those while driving, so I'm just going to leave them off. I'm going to use this brake. And we're losing speed, so I'm fine. I'm going to check. Oh, are we gaining now? We are gaining now. We are on a little bit of a downhill. I need to take the brakes off for a second. Or keep the brakes on, rather. Have them take more effect. Quick peek at the map will show us what I know is already true. We're going to have our path already set for us. Right into our siding, right there. That is our parking spot. Right up here. And now you can see why our speed has suddenly changed on the brakes. We've now entered a 1.0 ruling gradient, so we have to take that into account now. I believe we're going to take this track over, if I'm not mistaken. No, we're not. I thought for a second that we did. Maybe that's a different track. We saw something over the distance. We had another jitter. Again, if that jittered in real life like that, I'd be worried about the train. So we found our way to a 0.3% gradient. That means the brakes are going to have a stronger effect on us now with our throttle where it is. If I go to 25% throttle, needless to say, I'm going to find myself increasing speed way too fast, so I can't do that. So by the grading mechanism, we are going to be late. But like I said, I didn't feel like being graded on this today. I was going to do it, but then I decided after I already cloned this one, nah, we're not going to do it. Now the nice thing with the brakes already being where they are, and the reason I'm leaving them on is because I know we're stopping in here. So as soon as we get to our parking spot, I can just let the brakes go and do their job, and I don't have to wait for them to apply. They're already applied. Just take the gas off, and I'm in place and in my parking spot. That's the nice thing about this setup. You saw the red stop hand there saying you're not going to the straight track. It was indicating we're going to turn off. All the other ones here are showing that we're following the straight track by not facing us. So when this next one shows the stop hand, that's where we're going to be turning in, I believe. A little speed back on. What storm? I don't see a storm, do you? So there's the stop hand. This switch is saying you will go no further. And we're going to get turned off onto this track right here. Notice the other track is set up for straight through as well, so traffic can just go straight along that track. And if you don't believe me, let's go take a look. There's a switch right there showing it. You can switch it over to the other track, but we're not going to do that because I don't want to mess up our train. Not that I think that will anyway. We're on a different switch. So that stoplight signal that we have there, that represents the switch we just passed. Ideally, I want to get the entire train past that. And since I'm not dealing with the effects of a time limit, I'm going to go ahead and do that. By the way, looking outside, you see a loose consist over there. It's not labeled with anything, so it's just sitting there. Oh goodness, I wasn't paying attention. Always pay attention, kids. Always pay attention to what you're doing, especially if you're increasing your speed. That's where you need to pay attention the most. We just made it through a storm. Leave us alone. So we're in the yard on a 0.3 gradient. That seems to be the kind of gradient we have in the yard. There's a little small gradient around the bulk of the Cheyenne yard. I'm going to assume it's accurate because they did check this out, so I assume it's accurate. So to aid me with slowing down, I'm letting my speed go down to 10. And I'm going to keep it around there until I get a little further. We're almost inside the area now. In fact, let's go ahead and drop it a little more now. When those last 4 cars are waiting to get in, that's when I'm going to start to really start slowing down. Gonna drop it a little bit more again here. Oh, we're actually gaining speed on a level 1 gradient right now. So on a level 1 throttle right now. So that's not gonna work like I planned. But slowing down is working very well. So that's completely going according to plan right now. So we're holding at 6.7 right now. Looks like we have lots of room to make this stop, so we're going to continue on. 4 more cars, like I said. And once that light disappears behind us, we should be good to stop at our parking spot right there. So you can see the back of the train right now. I'm just going to turn so you can see the side of the train and where the signal is. That's the signal that shows where we're going. The last car is on it right now. We are now past that switch. So we are going to clear ourselves of this switch, which goes into there. And as you notice, the stop light is going to disappear now. The signal light disappears. It's no longer on our map. We are now completely within the yard. The throttle has been taken completely off. I'm going to go ahead and go just a little further forward because why not? Put ourselves a little bit more in the middle. But anytime now is the ideal stopping point. As long as any part of your train is in the marker, it works. But the ideal stopping point is probably right about the middle of the yard. We're not at the middle of the yard. We left a little bit of room back here, though, so we are good. This is fine. So let's go ahead and get one more look at our United Way train, our Independence Loco, as it's more known on this train. And that was a special train that we took for a ride today. I hope you enjoyed getting to see this train go for a ride. We're going to get our congratulations for finishing this scenario, and I'm going to go and enjoy a wonderful drink at this point, because I think I've earned it after doing 2 long scenarios like this. Great work. Other trains stopped waiting for the storm to pass, but you battled through to reach Cheyenne on time and in one piece. Well, in about 30 or 40, we still have all the cars behind us. They count as pieces, don't they? Anyway, scenario complete. You're going to get to see that I did have 2 speeding penalties. I did manage to carry over the first speeding penalty because I got a new one on the way up to the halfway point, as I said. But imperfection is a natural thing. And there it is. We only had 1 target. 1 target was complete. Oh, 3 times. Apparently I had a 3rd speeding penalty I didn't know about. Was it tracking the one on the initial run? Is that what it took? Maybe it took the one on the initial run. We don't have a chart, so I don't know. But in any case, it's showing because I had to run this scenario twice, 2 hours and 38 minutes. Go me. And it's showing 90 miles, 146 kilometers, which is longer than the route. So yeah, it was showing the first run as part of that. It is showing that first run. So in any case, we are done with that scenario. What are we going to do next time? My initial plan was London to Brighton. I might still do that, but I want to leave myself a little bit of leeway. I might throw in something else because London to Brighton is not necessarily critical to my upcoming plans, even though I do have some scenarios from other people for that I can run on the South London to Brighton route, which is a combination of London to Brighton and South London network. At the same time, it's not a critical place for me to go. I do have a scenario pack that uses another different merge route that uses the South London network, but I don't, or maybe it might be London to Brighton, I don't know. But it's not a critical route, so I may come back to that one. I am going to be playing all 12 scenarios in 2 separate segments, and I have some other scenarios to do in the middle after that. I'm going to keep that chain intact, but I might put another UK route before that because there are some routes that I consider important to get into the rotation. If I don't have any of those ready by the time I get to London to Brighton in this current chain, I will put up London to Brighton. Or I may just decide to do that anyway. I'll let you know later if you ask me. But I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. So I may go London to Brighton next time. I may do something else next time. What will that something else be? I'm debating the Riviera line. I am thinking about the Riviera line for this. I literally just took down an idea for a scenario in the area of the Riviera line. Not on the Riviera line itself, but in the area going through Exeter. And I'm not going to say which route it would be for yet, but it looked very interesting. And I wanted to see if that was something that I could do. I would have to crash learn the editor. Well, not crash, but really quickly learn the editor. But before I even worry about doing anything in that area, I have to actually experiment with Riviera line and look at the part of the stereo that goes through the Riviera line. It's not covering the Riviera line. Basically, the line turns off after Newton Abbot into 2 different directions, so we're not going to be following the Riviera line. I just kind of gave away that we're staying on the South Devon for part of that. So you probably figured out what route it is. I haven't installed that route yet, but we are going to look at that route at some point as well. But we have to start with Riviera line, And you have to start with some other routes in the area as well, because there's a lot of UK routes compared to other routes. At the same time, if I don't do that, there are German routes as well. I have not yet introduced a German route on this in my videos. So it might be a good idea for me to throw in a German route, then stick with London to Brighton as planned, and then move into the other scenarios, and then go straight over to Riviera Line, because at that point I can start transitioning from Riviera into all the other things I want to do, and everything will kind of have a nice mesh to it. But Riviera Line is going to be coming up. It is the next scenario, or next route I have to actually play. It's just a matter of whether you're going to see it next. So in the meantime, I hope you enjoy what you're seeing here, what you saw here today, and in the past so far. Well, how many scenarios I have up here now? It's 7 from suburban Glasgow, which are all single parts. I didn't have to split those up. I had the 6 from this route, which now I've had to split this one up, which I didn't have to before, thanks to that train problem. And I have the 2 Falmouth ones, or 3 Falmouth ones, one of which is in 2 parts. So 17 videos so far, if my math is correct, and I haven't missed anything. So I hope you're enjoying the videos you've seen here so far. I hope you have already subscribed to the channel to make sure you see what else is coming up. And I hope you also like the video, because, you know, it helps other people see the video if you say that you like it. So make sure you do that. And that'll help me out, and I will appreciate that. And if you donate, if you were to subscribe to me, I couldn't remember what it was last time I talked about, but Patreon. I think I will have a Patreon set up by the time this video comes up. That will be in the description if I have it set up. And if not, I'll have it up there later at some point. So you can always subscribe to me on Patreon, and I will try to have bonuses for my subscribers on Patreon. I'll try to have bonuses for those people. Those bonuses will be things like being able to have a custom scenario. I'm thinking maybe 1 scenario a month. A custom scenario worked into the formula, as long as it's the route that I've played. And if it isn't, then I'll consider putting that route up as long as I have it, and then I can get to playing the scenario. But I want to see if I can do something like that. There is going to have to be a limitation on that at some point. At some point, when I have enough subscribers, assuming I ever get enough subscribers, I'm going to have to tier that so the higher subscribers get that benefit, because I'm going to have too many people ask me to play scenarios. Otherwise, it's just going to be impossible at that point. So we'll play that by ear and see what happens as it happens. But in the meantime, I'm not going to jump too far ahead. We're done this scenario today. We're going to do a different route next time. England, German, I don't know. It's going to be something. London to Brighton is the plan, but I could move somewhere else. I'll see you wherever it is. Video number 18 will be coming in due course on wherever that is. I look forward to seeing you for that. Make sure you have a wonderful day, evening, or night, whatever it is for you, your part of the world. Appreciate having you hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time for some more Let's Play Train Simulator. Bye-bye.